We all have a story to tell. A gem of wisdom, a little tale, or just something to make you laugh. Do you want to hear some? Tonight on Anecdotes, we are in Metairie, Louisiana at Sea Beavers, talking to members of the Louisiana film industry about the potential tax incentive cuts by Governor Bobby Jindal for films made in Louisiana.
We want to let everybody know what the film industry has done for us, our families, our towns, the changes they have seen, not only financially, but what it has done for ourselves. Like, we learned a lot, we grew a lot, so people are getting jobs who could not break into careers, people are developing careers. We see poverty going to middle class or riches, and things like that's going on. We have a lot of testimony as to that.
And you've seen this happen in other states, and it's had a negative impact. When the tax cuts have been removed, it has a negative impact. That's
why I'm here, because I don't want to be the Wilmington of '03 and the Canada of '03. Georgia and New Mexico and other states are on at the door looking and waiting 24/7. I have friends over there that say, we're watching your governor.
But you know, they just won't come here no more. So Hollywood South will be gone. The hotels, restaurants, nightclubs, you know, that's income, you know. It'll all go away, and it's sad.
But it doesn't only affect New Orleans, because I live in Laplace, and when Laplace got a lot of extra money when Memphis Beat came to town, but about 4 years ago, and that's actually when we started getting interested in doing films and movies and things, because it brought a lot of extra industry, the food industry, the catering out there, and they were out there for about 2 years. So, I mean, it's not just New Orleans, it affects all the cities, the surrounding cities, the small towns that work in the area. So I think it's going to affect us all negatively and lose a lot of that extra income that we get from that.
Well, I think it's a big mistake. It's a big mistake. In doing so, what he's going to do is he's going to drive those film companies out of town, and they're going to go to Atlanta. And you know, this already happened actually in Michigan, and it happened in Georgia, where they had the tax incentives in place, and then the government changed them, and the film companies just stopped going. And what has happened over the past, and, you know, this is even an industry that Katrina didn't destroy. You know, because they had the same plans in place. And when Katrina came, it blew everything out of town for a little while, but they all came back. In fact, one of my favorite stories about that is they were scheduled to film Deja Vu here, and Katrina hit. And the studio said, we don't want to shoot in New Orleans. And so Tony Scott, the director, who just passed away, God rest his soul, said, well, if you're not shooting there, I'm not going to do it, because those people need that money. And then Denzel Washington, the star, said, well, if Tony's not directing, I'm not in it. And then the producer's like, well, you can shoot it in New Orleans. So you can do it here, you know?
Absolutely. That's the big actors who make the films. And you do have your independent films where once in every 50 or maybe even 100 where those people make the films big, but it's always the big actors who bring in the money for the big films.
Actors are a product, and they're that product that brings the money and everything here and gives the jobs. You get rid of that product, there's no reason for the movie to be here. And even if you get rid of the big movies, even the smaller ones will go away. They want to follow right behind the big ones, just the same locations. Like, yeah, we shot here, but so did this really big movie. Like, how cool is that, you know? Brad Pitt was in the same scene that we just shot, you know, so-and-so in. I mean, it'll lose that too. They'll follow them as well.
There was a press conference with Governor Jindal, I think it was last year, where he's talking about, oh, the film industry is so great. And he says, his quote was, for every dollar that we spend in tax incentives, we get $5 back. Now, I love that, but at the same time, they're not spending any money in tax incentives. It doesn't cost them anything to offer these tax incentives. So in order to restructure his plan, he now spreads the money out evenly between all three classes, well, two classes, the middle class and the upper class. And then what happens is he's taxing other industries. And not only the film industry, but all performers are being taxed. So it's going to kill an industry that is just really growing. And in a state where all they say is, oh, we don't want to rely so much on oil. You know, we don't want to rely only on oil. We want to diversify. Well, diversification has been taking place for almost 10 years now, and now you're going to drive it out. Really?
Lisa, I think you're suggesting that I'm old. That's true.
I was not saying that. I'm saying your experience.
I can't tell my Bobby Jindal story? No. Okay. Now, listen, I've been in the industry, I don't know, since for 30 years. New York, California, and Louisiana for the last 7. And I teach acting at Katz Acting Joint. But now, when I was growing up in the industry in California, for many years, and I'm sure this is well known, our industry was taken away from Hollywood and the United States by Canada. Canada, because of all of its tax credits and all of its lower costs, were pulling in our movies, and we were shooting in Canada instead of the United States. So they were taking the money away from us. Now, what happened with Louisiana when they started their tax codes and the other codes that subsequently happened, we took our productions back. Canada doesn't do it anymore because they're getting enough tax credits here. Now, when you look at it, tax credits have infused this state with thousands of jobs. Now, we're not only talking about jobs for below the line and above the line where people are working on film, because that's how you get your tax credits in this state. So they're making an income like that. People are also moving into town from out of state, paying taxes, paying for groceries, gas, the whole 9 yards, because they see the advantages of being in Louisiana.
But I'm a single mom. It's helped me get a car. It's helped me, get by, really. I mean, I was like the typical American single mom there, working 2 jobs for a while, really, really trying to make it. And then just booking one film is such a relief. Like, the money is really good, and it's like, and it's like I know that I've worked really hard for it, so I feel like at the same time I do deserve it. It's definitely not any sort of a giveaway. So
Yeah, it affects everybody because it trickles down. I mean, if they're not here, then everybody else is not going to have the work. From extras to PAs to caterers to rental companies, talent agencies, casting companies, everybody gets a little bit of that pie, And who don't like pie?
It would have a negative impact on the film industry, even though it's for a cap on above-the-line talent. So say Tom Cruise comes in and makes $20 million on his movie, and he brings all of it back to L.A. and gives a bunch to Church of Scientology or whatever he does. Well, he brought his whole $150 million project here, and they spent it on supplies and sets and crew and hotels, car rental, catering, restaurants, everything that goes into it. So it's generating a whole lot of revenue for peripheral mom and pop shops and other companies.
Well, I'm not quite sure why he would have changed his mind, because last year he was all for, the industry and supporting it, and now with the cuts, I believe it's going to cripple our industry. There's a lot of states who have been, vying for our business, and they've been, up in their stakes, and now if they just cut us, they're going to say, well, thank you, but we can go elsewhere. And so, that trickles down from background all the way up to producers and directors and people that work at Lowe's and Home Depot that, they're buying all their products here and eating here and staying in hotels here, and it's going to be a bad situation.
So even though the tax cut is primarily on people who are earning $1 million or more in salary, right, it would still affect everyone involved in the film industry.
Oh, definitely, because, that's the big wigs that come here with their big crews, and so they book a whole hotel. Well, now the hotel's empty, so they have to let the staff go. So it's going to, same thing with like restaurants that, have increased their staff, or like I said, like Lowe's, they have to buy construction materials. All that's going to be, the business is going to go down, so of course they're going to have to start laying people off. So it's going to affect everybody in this, city.
As an actor, I can continue to act here, but that would be independent films, which is fine. They're great. I love them. But as far as the hype, Hollywood South, it's going to be gone. Stallone won't be here no more. Statham won't be here no more. Morgan Freeman practically lives here in Louisiana. Had breakfast with him this morning. No. But I did go to the catering truck.
So what we all need to rally together, right? Our congressmen and women?
This is your state senator and your state representative. Okay. And you can go on the legislative website, which is legis.law.gov. Legis.law.gov. Go to the left column, it says who is your representative, find out who it is. But I'm blasting that all over to make it easier for everybody. And when they get it, we'll have the contact information. And what we want to do, we want to build the forces in case we have to go to Baton Rouge. There's a 50-50 chance we have to go to Baton Rouge. We don't know that. But I want to be on our guard. We're watchmen on the wall. And if something comes up, and it comes up like a thief in the night, the Minutemen are ready to go.